Today we are talking about The Best of Me, but not The Best of Me, The Best of Me, the book by David Sedaris. And after we talk about The Best of Me, we're actually going to talk about The Worst of Me. And by that, I mean we're talking about skincare and all of these flaws on my face that I don't like. And we're going to see if a product from DoTerra can actually help me reverse some of the damage that I have on my face. I'm Rutherford Rankin, and this is the Basement Book Drop. So I'm sure all of us have things that we don't like about ourselves, and then there's things we do like about ourselves. So what I would like you to do is, in the comments below this video, add a comment about the thing that you like the best about yourself. For me, I would say it's the fact that I've never really cared that much about what I look like or like what people think I look like. Recently, I've started to care a little bit more. I'm trying to take a little better care of my skin and that type of thing. But I've never really cared that much whether I had a wrinkle or a freckle or something. It's something that as I get older is becoming a little more obvious to me and kind of wanting to fix things up, those flaws. But for the most part, most of my life, I haven't really cared whether I dressed a certain way or, if I had a scar on my forehead or something. So I'm just interested to know, what do you like best about yourself? So the book, The Best of Me by David Sedaris, this is kind of a compilation of David Sedaris' work that he's chosen that he considers his best work. I'm a big David Sedaris fan, and I've read all of his previous books, every single one of them. And so this book, I had already read all of the stories in this book. But that was actually fine because I enjoyed revisiting these stories that I really loved from his other books. So if you don't know who David Sedaris is, David Sedaris he's kind of an essay writer, a storyteller. He doesn't really write books that are like a novel. He's more, I would say, observational humor and satire. He's really clever with his wit and his sarcasm. And I'm sure there are people out there who probably don't get his humor. But I really enjoy it because he's very subtle about it, but then at other times he's really obvious. Most of David Sedaris' stories come from experiences that he's had. He really became famous in the early 90s because he was on NPR and he was sharing this story that he had written called the Santaland Diaries. And it's basically a tale of he had this job as an elf at a department store in New York City for Santa during the Christmas season. And it was just a collection of things that had happened while he had that job. And it's a really funny story written-wise, but it's even funnier when it was on NPR because it was him reading it. And you always get a better sense of what the writer meant for it to sound like when you hear them read it. And so I really actually enjoy finding clips on YouTube of David Sedaris reading his own work because it gives it a new life. But this book was a nice revisit of those stories from many of his books that I really liked. There is a poem in this book, and I think it was originally from a book called Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk, but it's a poem about dogs, and it's this sarcastic thing about how people love their dogs, but they don't realize the things that their dogs are doing when they're not looking. Things like, sneaking treats out of the litter box, getting into the bathroom trash can, and then they come up and kiss your face. So that's an example of the type of thing that was in this book. If you've never read David Sedaris' book and you want to pick one up, definitely pick up The Best of Me. This is his best work. He's definitely a people watcher, and he enjoys telling the stories about the people that he watches. He also enjoys telling stories about him and his family as well. David Sedaris is a very interesting person in real life. He lives in England with his longtime boyfriend. They kind of live out in the country. And he actually goes out in the middle of the night and during the day too. But he goes out and he picks up litter on the side of the road. And he does this as a hobby. I don't think he has a great mission where he's just trying to improve the environment. He just actually really enjoys going out and picking up litter. And he's well known in the community where they live as this person that goes out and does that. And I guess they have a nickname for him, a Pigpen, kind of like the Peanuts character, because he does go out and pick up litter. And they've actually named a garbage truck after him in the village where he lives. So he's definitely a very interesting character. David Sedaris is one of my very favorite authors. The other 3 books of his that I own are Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk. And this is actually, I would say they're kind of like animal fables, but they're based on behaviors that people have. So the characters in the stories are all animals, but he compares them to things that people do. And it's interesting how he does that. So this one is a really funny book. If you're interested in that type of thing, you should definitely check out Squirrel Seeks Chipmunk. One of his more recent books is Calypso, but it's a typical David Sedaris book. You know, it's a collection of stories like observational humor and stories about his family. The interesting thing about David Sedaris stories and essays are that he gets a lot of his ideas just by keeping a diary of things that are happening in his life. And then he goes through the diary and he finds something that he thinks is funny or might be relevant to people. He's kept these diaries since 1977. He has like a huge collection of these diaries that he's kept. One of his books, last books before The Best of Me, was called Theft by Finding. And it's diaries 1977 to 2002. So what he did with this book is he actually went through his diaries and he found what he thought were the best entries throughout those diaries from the years 1977 to 2002. And it's really interesting. I mean, they're very short, but you kind of understand. If you've read his other books, this is a really good one to read because you start to understand his thought process behind some of his stories and where they originated. And so I loved reading this because you start to understand that some of his stories are true and some are a little bit exaggerated. He's kind of caught flack for that a little bit from people because a lot of his books are classified as nonfiction by the publishers. And there are instances where he has exaggerated the truth, meaning he's taken a story that really happened, but he's elaborated it a little bit. And so he has caught flack from other people because his books are classified as nonfiction a lot of the time, and they're not necessarily really totally nonfiction. But the nice thing about Theft by Finding is that you understand the origins of those stories, where they actually came from, and you can sort of pick apart whether the story in its final version was exaggerated or whether it really came right out of his diary. I'm really excited because I found out that the sort of sequel to Theft by Finding is supposed to be coming out in, I think, July. And it's supposed to be the diaries from 2002 to the present. And it's sort of the same format where he's going to go through those diaries and find his best entries and share those in a book. So I'm definitely looking forward to that sort of sequel coming out. But I highly, highly, highly recommend David Sedaris books and stories. He also writes for The New Yorker, and he contributes to NPR on occasion to This American Life. So if you ever get a chance, definitely read David Sedaris' work, either one of his books or his work in The New Yorker or other publications, and try to catch him on NPR if you can. If you're not familiar with David Sedaris and his family, he actually has a famous sister as well. His sister is Amy Sedaris. She's a semi-famous actress. If you've ever watched the show Strangers with Candy that used to be on Comedy Central many years ago, that was Amy Sedaris playing Candy on that show. She also has a show on True TV. The name escapes me right now, but it's sort of a comical nod to DIY cooking and crafting shows. And she gives you sort of homemaking tips, but in a humorous way. And so that's pretty funny. So they definitely come from a funny family. A lot of David Sedaris' books talk about his parents, his mom and his dad. And you can definitely understand after reading some of his work that he gets his sense of humor from his dad, a little bit from his mom, but a lot from his dad and from his siblings. So definitely check out David Sedaris books or his other works. So now that we've talked about the best of me, I want to talk about something that I think is the worst. Not really the worst, but pretty bad. I want to talk about skincare. So when I got my doTerra order this month, I was pretty stocked up on oils. I didn't really need to add any new oils to my collection, and so I was trying to branch out a little bit. I've tried some of the doTerra skincare products before in the Essential Skincare line. I wasn't a big fan, like there was nothing really wrong with it. It just didn't seem like it did a whole lot for my skin. So I started looking on their website because I'm trying to take a little better care of my skin and reverse some like sun damage and aging that I have. And I found this collection. It's called the Verage collection. And I've heard pretty good reviews about this collection. It's intended to really clear up your skin, reverse a lot of the signs of aging that you have. And this collection, you can buy these pieces individually, but I did buy the collection. It includes a cleanser, a spray toner, and I love the fact that it's a spray toner because I can just spray it on my face and then kind of spread it around with a cotton cloth. Instead of most toners where you have to pour it on the cloth and then spread it around your face, I really like the spray aspect. It also comes with a moisturizer, and it comes with a hydrating serum. And all of these products are infused with different essential oils that are supposed to be good for skincare. I'm actually really looking forward to trying this, and I'm gonna show you why in just a second. I'm gonna do an extreme close-up. I'm gonna make myself very vulnerable, and I'm actually going to point out the flaws on my face that I'm hoping this will take care of. So this is kind of part one to a Verage journey. I'm actually going to start using this Verage collection probably tonight. I'm probably going to use the moisturizer tonight, and then starting tomorrow I'm going to use all of them. So I'm going to use the moisturizer, the serum, the toner, and the cleanser, and I'm going to do that for 30 days. And after 30 days, I'm gonna film another video and I'm going to do the extreme close-up again. And we're going to see whether I get results from this skincare line. I'm just interested to see whether I can get results. And I thought it might be fun to take you along on that journey. So we're gonna give this a try. In 30 days, I will post a part 2 where I do another extreme close-up. And we're gonna see what kind of results I get. So speaking of extreme close-up, I'm going to move my camera really close. I'm gonna take off my hat and hopefully I don't blind you with my bald head under these lights. And I'm going to point out the things on my face that I don't like and what I hope to see from this product within the 30 days. It may not happen in 30 days, but if I can see at least a reduction, then I will have faith in the product. So give me a moment to adjust my camera and I will be right back. I just want to apologize to my skin. I was so naive. I didn't wear sunscreen. I didn't moisturize. And this is where we ended up. Crow's feet. So this is going to be kind of weird because I'm super close to the lens right now, but I want to make sure that you can clearly see what I'm talking about. I do use softbox lights when I'm filming, so sometimes that hides flaws. So I wanted to make sure that I get as close as possible to the camera so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't worry too much about down here because I have a beard, so that covers a lot. But the thing that bothers me the most right now is under my eyes. I have a lot of lines and I have dark circles under my eyes. And that really kind of bugs me. I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't really care that much. But if I already have these lines and I'm in my 30s, what am I going to look like when I'm 60? That's what scares me. So that's the big thing is a lot of these lines, and if I squint, you can really see them. One thing that I've been noticing lately is farther down. I'm starting to get lines on my cheeks too. So if I move my face just the right way, you can kind of see them. So I have a lot of lines on my face, which I hadn't really noticed before. Lately, now that I'm kind of like trying to do makeup when I'm wearing or when I'm doing videos, I've noticed it a lot more, mainly because I'm up in the mirror, like looking really closely at my face. And so I've been noticing it a lot more. A couple of other things that I don't like about my skin, which I'm sure you've noticed by now, are these giant pores on my nose. I have, I swear, the most massive pores on my nose. And I kind of think it's probably like genetic, because the men in my family, we all kind of have big pores. And no matter what skincare products tell you, you can't actually shrink the size of your pores. I know a lot of products claim that they're going to, but you can't actually do that. So don't believe the products that tell you that. So as far as my nose, it's the pores. My nose gets very oily throughout the day, so I don't like that. So I don't know whether this product will do anything for like the oiliness on my nose, but I also get oil on my forehead. So basically the T-zone, which is pretty normal. People get oily T-zones. But the interesting thing is my T-zone gets pretty oily, but then down here on my cheeks, my skin gets really dry to the point that sometimes I get like flaky skin right there. And so I think that's weird. I know it's combination skin, but it's really hard to find skincare products that work on your whole face when you have like greasy up here and then your cheeks are all flaky. So I don't know whether this Verage collection is going to help with that, but it'll be interesting to see. The other big thing is up here along where my hairline used to be, because my hairline used to actually come down here several years ago. But you may notice there is a lot of sun damage, and they're almost like freckles, but they're just kind of dark spots around where that hairline used to be. And so I would really like to even things out. I don't expect that the Verage collection is going to like lighten my skin or anything, but if it can help just kind of even the complexion, I would like that. A couple of other things that I have going on my forehead. I have a weird spot kind of up here. It's just sun damage, but it gets kind of scaly sometimes and dry. I have like a weird sun damage spot right here, so that's a little odd. The other thing I'm sure you notice as I'm squinting and then unsquinting, I have lines across my forehead where those kind of squint lines are, and I don't really care for those. And they're starting to be just kind of permanent. I know everybody kind of has lines every once in a while, but these are like pretty bad. I'm hoping like proper moisturizing might help with that, but we'll see. And then finally, down here, I kind of have like a weird sun damage growth, kind of like what I had up on my forehead. And it gets dry and scaly too. I hope this isn't like grossing anybody out, but I want to like really be honest and upfront and up close with the flaws that I am having and what I want to correct with them. So those are kind of the things that I'm looking to improve. So I'm going to come back in 30 days. I'm going to start using Verage tonight. And we are going to see whether I have any improvement. So hopefully I have not lost any viewers or subscribers after showing my close-up skin. I just want to make sure that I give a detailed review of what my skin looks like now and what it's going to look like in 30 days. So hopefully I didn't gross you out with that. I'm just trying to be honest about it, making myself vulnerable and pointing out the flaws in my face so that I can point them out in 30 days. And I will let you know whether the Verage collection works or not. If it really doesn't work, I'm going to be totally honest with you and tell you that. So I'm not gonna push a product that I don't think works. I will tell you, I didn't like the Essentials skincare line that doTerra had. This is supposed to be a much better skincare line, so we're gonna test it and we're gonna see. So hopefully you enjoyed my review of The Best of Me by David Sedaris. If you're interested in reading this book or any other David Sedaris books, I'm actually gonna leave links for all of his books. If you are interested in trying the Verage skincare line, I will leave a link in the description for that as well. I will come back in 30 days for a part 2, and we are going to see what the results are like.